What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to week 2 of a week in review. Behind ourselves, office update first. Office update, we've got wood. Insert that's what she said joke, also an office joke. I'm probably going to use and abuse that joke, so my wife is probably rolling her eyes right now. Oh well. Okay, so one thing I actually want to do, we're gonna jump into some questions from last week, and then we'll talk about the week in review. But one thing I think I want to add to this series in the beginning, almost every time or as many times as I can, is tell a story. I love telling stories. If you've ever hung out with me, I love to tell stories. My wife would tell you that I tell tall tales, I like to embellish stories. Might be slightly true, but this one will be a straight true story. So in 2019, 2020, something like that, I had a programming company. Grit, still have the company. I had my programming currently being offered to people around the globe, and I was hosting my programming on an app called Box Score Fitness. And really liked the app. The app had a lot of functionality, really good functionality, but it just wasn't pretty, if that makes sense. So think of like an ugly Prius. And got to know the owner really well, Mike Baglio, really nice guy. Got to really like him and spend a lot of time talking on the phone, like trying to convince him to make some updates here and there and fix some things, since I was hosting a lot of people on that programming on that app. And so decided one day, hey, you know what? I should make an offer. Like I should pay him, invest in the company, get some equity in the company, and help him design it and make it better, and hopefully, do something with it. And so made him an offer. He accepted it, which was awesome. Bought into the company, had some equity in the company, and then we brought in a third partner, Jim Crowell. Jim's been a big name in this space from OPT back in the day, and a really great, solid business mind. So we had Mike Baglio, who did development. He was the owner, the majority owner, and also the sole owner at one time. So he was developer, designer, whole 9 yards, right? I was kind of like the marketing arm of it, maybe a little bit of sales, and Jim was the business guru, for lack of better terms. Really good at business, really smart. And still, all three of those guys are still good friends of mine today. So we designed this company, started putting some work into it, and then actually got hooked up with PushPress, which is a company that I now work part-time for. And PushPress was looking to acquire an app that allowed them to, PushPress was the back-end solution, the software solution for a lot of gyms, but they didn't have a really good front-end program to showcase workouts to the end consumer, the people going to the gym. And so we actually started talking to them, working with them, negotiating with them, and they actually acquired the company. So PushPress bought out the company, Box Score Fitness at the time, and renamed it. And that app is now known as Train for all maybe you guys are on that now. So they bought out Train. Mike works for PushPress. Jim helps with PushPress. I currently now work part-time for PushPress and help them with events, planning events, since I know a lot of people in the space. And so that is my story for the day. That's when I helped design a tech company acquired by PushPress, and now I work part-time for them. And PushPress is an awesome company to work for. So, all right, that's my story for the day. Some questions that we're going to go through. William Hole 7042. I'm going to paraphrase this question. Sorry, William. Should there be a difference in training program for someone wanting to qualify to the games versus semifinals versus just going to the Open? Yes. That is actually a really good question. It should be completely different. I'm actually going to pause for a second. I'm going to take the next question and I'm going to combine both answers. David7586 asks, can there exist a program for general population and competitors at the same time? Again, I'm paraphrasing. So both those questions kind of deal with discussed it last week kind of briefly, but we'll discuss it again very briefly. And that goes into like SPP versus GPP, right? So specialized physical preparedness versus general physical preparedness. A CrossFit Games athlete, if you're trying to go to the CrossFit Games, right, you are doing specialized programming to yourself, right? You have weaknesses. Okay, like for instance, when I was programming for myself or I had coaches, I would ask myself, hey, what does Jacob Heppner suck at? And that's very easy to answer. You could probably answer it yourself, right? I was not ever going to be good at 1-rep maxes, at lifting a barbell, but I had a really good engine. And so my thought was, okay, well, I need to go out and fix those things, those weaknesses. That way I'm not losing points in a competition, because while it might feel really great for me to go out and work on my engine day in and day out, and I'm going to feel like just a straight king. I'm going to feel awesome. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to make me any better. I'm going to get more bang for my buck by spending an hour working on the things I suck at than an hour feeling really good about myself and working on GHDs, pistols, running, and rowing. So when it comes down to it, there's nothing wrong with CrossFit Games competitors or competitors jumping into general population classes, right? I've done it all the time. I'll go to gyms and I'll jump into gen pop classes all the time because I'm not also going to the CrossFit Games right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I really encourage that. Like the Metcons, I think, someone might agree with me, but the metabolic conditioning pieces that CrossFit Games athletes might do are important, but they're not usually as important as the linear program or the cyclic training or whatever they're doing from the strength perspective and accessory work or gymnastic skill work to improve on those areas. So, strength is important. You should be focusing on that, but like your engine work, your metabolic conditioning, you can probably jump in with general population classes for that. I usually encourage that with CrossFit Games athletes, but can a training program be different for a CrossFit Games athlete for semifinals versus a person going to the Open just having a good time? Yes. If you really want to be competitive, they should absolutely be different. Back in the day, you used to see people that just did CrossFit Games athletes that did Gen Pop and made it to the games. Those days are long gone. Those days, the sport has evolved. The intensity of the sport has evolved. Athletes have evolved, and it's harder to make it to the games than it ever has been. So it should be different. At Asian Image, do I offer cool merch for businesses? For some of my businesses, nope. I don't offer really any merch. It's really just kind of merchandise is kind of a pain to run. If you want to support the businesses, Grit does morning mono programming, really cheap. I think it's a really solid program, very popular. Functional eating, we do online nutrition. So if you need nutrition help, look into that. But we don't offer merchandise. I've tried it a few times, and it's just a lot of work for a little juice to squeeze out kind of thing. At Next Door Athlete, I need to sell my rower or assault bike to buy a ski erg. Which one? I would suggest you sell the assault bike. I actually wouldn't suggest you buy a ski erg. I'd sell the assault bike and buy a bike erg. A ski erg is very specialized. Nothing wrong with having it, but if I have to tier rank what I think you should purchase for equipment, number one, go with C2. C2 never breaks down. They're just awesome. They're easy to fix too. I would go rower, bike erg, ski erg in that order. And then from there, I would go Echo Bike, Assault Runner, and that's what I suggest from there. Assault Runner is super, super low because you can usually go pound pavement and run. At T Fuller 1984, training camps at the barn. We did them a few years ago. We did a couple of teenage camps and a couple of Gen Pop. Right now, we don't have any planned. I will say, it's just kind of a thought. I'm not technically saying this is going to happen, but one thought has been, this house will be built. We'll have a clown house on the property. It's just, literally 600 meters away down a gravel driveway. And we thought about having some kind of like experience concept where it's like, hey, we've got a house on the property, we've got the barn on the property, pay for a weekend, come in, we got lodging for you, we'll have it stocked, we'll work out, we'll just join in for a lot of stuff. We thought about doing that. We still got to kind of flesh that out. Obviously it's different because we're having you on our property, so it's a little bit weird sometimes, You just don't want someone weird showing up to your property, for lack of better terms. That's kind of hard. But we have definitely considered like running some kind of experience perspective and keeping it really small and more intimate. So, at Mission Bell 28, you should drink every time he says right. Right. You should probably drink right now. Right. Hopefully right now you're adequately intoxicated for the rest of this video. All right, back to it. Okay, let's do a weekend review. So I'm going to kind of go through what we did this week. It is currently, hold for a second, Tuesday the 26th of September. This week, one thing I kind of worked on was we've been launching Functional Eating as a nutrition program company that I own, and I've been kind of focusing on bringing that company more into, again, I said this last week, I don't like the name, but we're going to say it anyways because it makes sense, and that is more into the tactical space, right? More into the LE, into the mill, into the shooting space a little bit more because, that company has always meant to follow me, for lack of better terms, right? I'm going to own it, I'm going to run it. It's meant to follow me. And so when I was competing in CrossFit, we had a lot of CrossFitters come in, and we still have a lot of people in the CrossFit space that enjoy the company. We have a great head coach that can also help you out. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I've noticed is in the space I'm currently in, competing in currently now, is there's not as much saturation in the nutrition help area like there is in the CrossFit or fitness space. There's actually a huge gap. There's a lot of people that are LE or MIL that just don't understand the food intake perspective and have just whether it's bad habits or a bad relationship with food, whether it be, you know, I don't like the way I look, or I'm overeating or undereating, whatever the case may be, because, you know, from an LE and MIL perspective, like, their job is make it very hard to focus on nutritional aspect of their lives. So we've been focusing on bringing that company into the nutrition space, or that company into the tactical space more. We actually launched something on the Facebook group that I run that's focused on the tactical games that essentially is like, hey, your first month, if you're LE or MIL, your first month will be free. Let's just get it in, help you out, no strings attached. If you don't like it at the end of the month, no harm, no foul. You can walk out stage left and I don't even care. Please go ahead. But I wanted to kind of bring it to the people and let them know, hey, I care about you. Let's get you in here. Let's help you out within a month and showcase the value that we can provide you. So we worked on that this week, kind of launched that a little bit. We launched our second video with Brian. That was the video we launched on the YouTube channel. That was pretty cool to do that again. One cool thing is Garmin is a, Garmin watch. Garmin, the first product I owned from Garmin, or I didn't own it, but my parents owned it, was a GPS in our vehicle. I remember owning a GPS, not having to print off MapQuest directions and having a GPS in the car. That was kind of cool. So Garmin is actually, their headquarters are located in Olathe. They're like 20 minutes away from me. And so I've got connected to Garmin through just people I know and people in the space that know me through the shooting industry or through the CrossFit industry. Got connected with them, had a meeting with them. They're trying to get more into the shooting space, and they currently have some products that they're trying to launch and create that's in the shooting industry, one of them being the watch I'm wearing now. And so they don't have a good space to test their products on a range, and also probably in a gym. I have both of those right on site, so we're probably going to be working together hopefully in the near future. Cool company. I'm really excited, to speak into products. Hopefully with them, that'd be a dream come true, to be honest. It's a huge company and honestly a really cool company. We got an upcoming, so what I mentioned earlier, for PushPress, I run the event space. I'm like the event guy for PushPress. I help plan and execute logistics for events we do for PushPress. We're gonna be doing a lot more events in 2024. One events we have coming up is we've been going to the CrossFit Affiliate Summits. You'll find those Affiliate Summits is where CrossFit HQ goes to a local gym in a big area. They had one in Kansas City a couple months back, and any affiliate owner in the local area, it's free. They have lunch provided, they have speakers come in, they just essentially provide you value for the affiliate fee that you're paying. And so they offer spots to companies in the CrossFit space to come in and hang out and speak at these events. And so we'll be going to the one at Noble HQ in Boston, so I'm helping plan that for PushPress. So that's a lot of planning going into that. And the big thing we did this week is competed in the South Carolina tactical event. So we flew into Augusta, Georgia last Thursday night. Flew into Augusta, Georgia, grabbed a hotel in Augusta, drove down to Barnwell, South Carolina. There's nothing in Barnwell, South Carolina, I'll tell you that right now, except for a range and some dilapidated houses and a really small, I wouldn't live there town. Went to Barnwell, went to the range is called GTI, which I believe is Government Training Institute, I think. It's like a decommissioned nuclear site, I'm pretty sure. But had the tactical games event there, been prepping all week last week for that. So went down to South Carolina. It's a 2-day event, Saturday, Sunday, competed in that, took first in the men's elite division. And so won that overall, had a good time. And then now the plan is for tactical games going forward is I've got pretty much 6 weeks off till nationals. So we're going to be solely focused on that going forward. I'm excited for nationals. Last year I won it overall at nationals. Nationals is like their CrossFit games, essentially. They have a bunch of regional events. South Carolina was a regional event. Have a bunch of regional events that feed into a national event. A national event is where all the heavy hitters go compete at a 3-day competition for the tactical games. And so I'll be competing in that in November, and hopefully I'll be able to defend my title. So yeah, that's kind of my week in review. If you guys got questions, just like last time, if you watched this far so far, appreciate you watching. If you guys have questions, put them in the comments down below. I'll of course read your name, so don't make a stupid question. I'll read your name, answer your question, and I will catch you next week. Hopefully next week we'll have some more wood up. That's what she said. Never gets old. See you guys.